Now I will tell you about the shaking, shivering cheerleader that I met in my subconscious. Before I did parts work, before I knew I would be a coach, helping people connect with their subconscious to heal their trauma and their patterns. I did an exercise where I thought about what my inner critic might look like, what my inner perfectionist might look like. I don't usually do it this way in my sessions because you don't have to. The parts are just there. They're hard to miss, frankly, if you know what you're looking for. But I imagined, what would my inner perfectionist, inner critic look like? And this was at a time of great heartbreak, just really serious heartbreak. And the reason why I was doing all of these workshops in the first place, because there was like frantic, I have to avoid ever feeling this way again energy. Because the heartbreak and the struggle was right there, I did not have to work hard at all for this part to come forward. And when I say part, I immediately had this felt sense of this other being, of another part of me, a visual. I saw her curled up like this, shaking and shivering, a cheerleader. And when I say cheerleader, I don't mean like my inner champion. I mean like me as a cheerleader, as I was when I was 15, which was a horrible and traumatic experience for me. Oh, she felt so out of control. She felt so out of control, and she was so good at everything that she did, but she couldn't figure out how to make this situation work. Sound familiar? I don't regret any of the things I did during that time of devastation and desperately learning as much as I could to avoid ever feeling out of control again. And I don't hold it against you, to those who come to me when you are in that place. But meeting that part of me, learning how to take care of her, learning who her friends are, because there's more than just one perfectionist or inner critic or inner child part of you. There are all these little moments in time where you have felt helpless or overwhelmed. Meeting that part of me and hearing what is so upsetting to her, what feels so out of control. Obviously, if you've gone through a recent heartbreak, it doesn't feel good, you don't like it. But if you're a functional adult living in the world, you have plenty of rational thoughts that can get you through this. And yet here you are, shaking, shivering, freaking out. And so we ask those subconscious parts, we ask the younger parts, what about this is so scary? What is this reminding you of? What feels unsafe right now? And what urges are you having to make the feeling go away? Meeting her and hearing her out means that I never met her again in that state. I've never seen a shivering, shaking cheerleader again. And I've had worse, way worse heartbreaks and traumatic moments since then. And I've never seen her shaking, curled up, reeling, falling apart, needing to change everything. I've never met her like that again. Which means that in many years since then, I haven't felt like that either. As an adult, me in this present moment, even through worse situations that were nearly exactly the same but worse, I have never felt that way again. I have felt other feelings. I've met other parts. I've continued to pull back the layers and just keep peeling and building. But I never go down the same rabbit hole again after I have met a part. After I have heard them out and given them a new life. Like they want to just chill. They don't want to be working so hard. So what does this have to do with all the things I've been talking about in the last 24 hours? Yesterday I posted a reel where a man was making a joke that he finally noticed something about his girlfriend that's imperfect. And I could see in the comments that people were getting really triggered and really curious and really analytical, and it reminded me of that time in my life and the time that so many clients come to me in of like the heartbreak, the striving to never feel that heartbreak again, the striving to never feel out of control ever again, where we're noticing everything that could be imperfect about ourselves, where we want to know if a man is going to say what's imperfect about a woman, we want to know what it could be. We are students of perfection. And then my post earlier today about who would you be right now if you knew that whatever you're working on is going to take as long as it's going to take. It may be really meaningful to you to hear someone say, embody your best self right now. Be chill right now. Like, no matter how it's phrased, you might think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Of course it does, in your rational mind. But if you are in a place where you are spiraling, where you are reeling, you might even know, oh, this is a sign of nervous system dysregulation. This is a sign of a trigger. Yes. Yes. And it may also be true that all the somatic exercises in the world, all of the meditating you might do, all of the yoga, the stretching, the mantras you might do on your own to try and fix it might not help. There are many reasons why things may not work, particularly when you feel unsafe and alone. But hear me out. If you have a wounded part of you who very much feels compelled to strive and do and perfect, it is very likely that they are the ones in the driver's seat for those activities. That it might not be coming from you, your actual self. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or a waste of time, but it does mean that you might be in kind of a loop. You might be in kind of a spiral. This isn't the end of the world. It just means that you might be a little stuck, and things might be taking a little longer than you want them to or need them to. I know this might feel discouraging or maybe even a little scary. It might even, if it feels scary, it probably triggered a couple different parts. Who want to fix it or avoid it or get really frozen up and overwhelmed by the thought. It's okay. Awareness is a great place to start. If you notice, oh, I feel helpless, powerless, out of control. If this is part of your language, if you feel triggered, if you feel activated or frozen in your system, if your eyes get really big, if you feel like you're all of a sudden remembering something about another time in your life, catastrophizing, these are signs that you might not be in your self-energy. These are signs that you may not be in the present moment. And that's okay. It's okay, but noticing it can save you some time. It can save you some time and some heartache. And obviously this is what I do in my work. I talk to the subconscious parts of you. Yes, they have personalities. Yes, they have little outfits. Always have little outfits. This is what I do in my work. One of the things that I do in my work. But maybe you're just at a place where you're wanting to ask some questions. Ask me some questions. Maybe you want me to teach a class. Make a little workshop on how to spot these parts, how to spot a trigger, how to notice when you might be operating on a loop. You might be stuck in perfectionism, analyzing. Let me know.